So where do we want to start?
Just wherever you like, really.
Wherever. So in your video, the most recent video you did on the hemp products, I noticed you were talking. You said places like Chernobyl. Where, like, are there actual places I could look up to see where they actually have removed the toxic metals and chemicals using stuff like hemp, even not necessarily just hemp?
Yeah, they did use it in Chernobyl.
In Chernobyl?
They did use it in Chernobyl.
Cool.
I believe they are using it in Chernobyl. Still, I don't think they would have just stopped. I would assume that they're still. I wouldn't say they are.
Mm-hmm. I just noticed when you were in your video, you said places like Chernobyl. I wasn't sure if that was, a reference or just saying places that are similar to that.
Yeah, the little clip that I add in there on the shot at that point in the video, it's talking about what they do there in Chernobyl.
Oh yeah, you had a clip of it.
Yeah, there was a little news snippet.
Okay. But how long typically does that usually take? Is that like a pretty strenuous process, or is it something just over a couple of times of planting?
No, I mean, of course, it would depend on the level of contamination, but I would, it's just the fact that it's possible.
Oh yeah.
Not just sell it off as just a cure-all. Even though the plant does take the heavy metals and toxins out of the soil and stores it into its own fibers, then we would make products out of it. And the way it's been depicted is that, once it's stored in there that, like it's safe. But I would still, want to see further, testing is, to put the hemp that was used for bioremediation and, in places with radiation like that whatever products are made from it are, still don't have any levels of radiation in them or anything.
Yeah. Have some further research.
Yeah, or finding a suitable use, for the hemp that was grown in those areas, if not just letting it die and biodegrade right there.
Yeah, finding some sort of use out of it rather than disposing of it to get rid of it.
Yeah, so that kind of raises some red flags even for myself. Like I said, I'm not trying to sell anything down the river as a cure-all. So I'm giving it, you're
just finding as many interesting aspects about it as you can, from what I can tell.
Yeah, I mean, it's got the utility that we need, and a lot of people, I've answered more responses about, people that are, against the climate change data. And that's fine. I'm not here to really debate everything with everybody because, and like I'll tell them, even if, the air isn't a problem, plastics are still a problem. The contaminations in the water are still a problem, and the soil, degradation is still a big problem. And if we can still solve all of those problems, whether the air was a problem or not, we would still go the same route. So it doesn't really matter.
Either way, balances it. It helps with both putting oxygen into the air and taking bad chemicals and bad metals and fibers that are in the ground and bringing them into their, its own fiber. I find that pretty interesting. I do have a question on what is it? How exactly are you thinking that you could probably help Americans see some of these challenges and reinforce us coming together to help move past these challenges?
The point of unity, that's that was actually the inspiration for further developing this campaign, as far as I did with all the fast forwarding to a space age stuff, because I really hadn't considered those things in the beginning. It was just a policing and justice reform proposal.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the biggest thing with that is was kind of unity and forgiveness. So when you watch the initiative statement, it really was about us putting our differences aside and just realizing that we're in a very special day and age, and that that we shouldn't throw that away because we have some grievances with the past.
Yeah, we need to put aside our weapons of the left and the weapons of the right, and come together and
All of them, just
help
all the
figure it
weapons.
out.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
even. They're not even left or right to me anymore. It's just they're all the
yeah.
same.
It's a big plate at the moment. Currently there's just so
It's
many
actually
different.
it's a perfect storm. Actually,
Yeah,
if I don't mind kind of veering off on my own for a second, it was that it's really interesting right now that you have um, the right fighting, you know, to put abortion laws in place, but also fighting against vaccine mandates. And then you have the left fighting for the
yeah,
abortion rights and fighting, but also fighting for the vaccine mandates.
yeah,
So what I had tweeted the other day is that the same exact grammar that would produce a law that protects abortion would also protect against vaccine mandates. So
mm-hmm.
that's a real interesting point that we're at right now, and I appreciate it. I hope everybody is taking a good look at it, or taking a step back and putting the critical thought into it, because it plays more into the bigger picture rather than us just
Yeah,
being upset about something that's occurring right at this moment, or something that we're personally, emotional about, or something like that. And we put the deep critical thought and how this is going to affect us long term, rather than just how it appeases
and
me now.
a lot of people don't put that deep critical thought into any, like, they don't even do it in their everyday lives, let alone when they see something on the news that's, nowadays the news is so clickbaity with, which whatever platform you're on, it's their clickbait as well, or they have clickbait as well, just so you can see this little headline and immediately somebody's going to read that headline, and then they know all they did was read the headline. They didn't even do any research into the article, and then they didn't read the article, and then they didn't even do any further research on what the article was about. So they have less than no idea what most topics are in America anyways. That's the general populace.
Yeah, the old clickbait, push button generation is what I call it.
Yeah.
But that's a disservice to itself, all the clickbait, because I can honestly say
Mm-hmm.
myself that I've become desensitized to the headlines, and as soon as I
Mm-hmm.
say it, like, I already know that the a lot of the articles almost don't even aren't even written to the illustration of the title, so it's kind
Yeah.
of misleading. Then once you read it and you're like, I didn't get anything out of this that I thought I was going to. It's kind of
Yeah.
annoying. I've started to block media providers that publish articles like that, if it's got a clickbait title and then no substance in the article.
Yeah. Or like CNN, they've been digging themselves a deeper hole ever since they got on and said that Joe Rogan was taking ivermectin, but they said it was horse dewormer. And they said, a drug commonly used is horse dewormer. And it was funny because, like, the next week Joe Rogan was talking about how the fact that there's there's only like 5 million or 50 million horses in all of the entire
Yeah, I
world.
think.
And
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
no, and there's been over 5 billion doses of ivermectin given to people. If you compare it, it's like, there's not, it's not even a fraction of the, there's not even that many horses, of a fraction of the
Yeah,
doses of ivermectin used
it's a rough.
worldwide, used in like Africa and the Southern Europe.
Yeah, and I don't understand why that became such a volatile point, and then it, uh, and then it was also, you know, hugely exacerbated after that, and it still is,
Yeah.
because, you know, and I'm not trying to polarize my position, because I am in a position of unity and I want everybody to come together, but I'm also in a position of, you know, facts. And,
Yeah.
you know, that's another thing where the left right now is, you know, saying follow the science, but then they don't want to look at the fact that ivermectin has been around since, what was the 80s, I think.
Yeah, the
They've
80s.
been using it.
It got the Nobel Peace Prize in
Yeah, they've been using it for a
2014.
long time in a clinical practice, not for animals, like in
Yeah.
human, you know, for humans. So, and that information is widespread and available. So it's really kind of, it takes. I'm taken aback by that, because so many people get in such an uproar about it when the information is that readily available.
Yeah.
Um,
And the fact that, CNN, they have an eighth, maybe a tenth of the following that Joe Rogan has in that aspect. Why would you go and say something like that or about somebody who has 10 times the amount of people that watch them than you? It's like, oh, you're telling, you know, 200,000, 300,000 people this morning that this is what's going on. Well, he has, over 1 million people that are sitting there listening to what he had to say about what they said about him. Who knows? Some of them that watch CNN probably watch Joe Rogan too. It's like, so you're doubly screwing your own self by, just calling antifreeze, or, calling water antifreeze and saying that you're drinking antifreeze. It'd be the same type of, situation.
yeah. Yeah, it's not. I just don't understand it. Like I said, I'm kind of taken aback that, you know, so many people went so far, you know, in the outfield about it, and that then it's propagated by the media and everything. Also, it's really.
Yeah.
But I think that's another reason why we need to do this. Why I keep saying that, you know, it is a revolution. It's not just, you know, a couple policy proposals. We're absolutely gonna fix all these things that aren't supposed to be. You know, the monopolies, they're not supposed to be. They never were. You know, that's not the way that we're sold. America
Yeah.
is coming up, and but that's the way that it is, and we suffer under it. Why? I don't understand. So I'm essentially, we're just pulling rank, because the people aren't doing, you know, even lawfully what they're supposed to be doing. All the
Yeah.
being broken.
And I agree, like ivermectin, things like ivermectin and monoclonal antibodies and certain steroids that they're talking about treating coronavirus with. I think they need more studies. They need more studies of them actually using it in the aspect of either pre-treatment for coronavirus or post. Is it like right after they get it? Is it going to shorten the period of time that they feel sick?
They
Or
already, you know, they had already shown some promise with ivermectin in the, you know, before it even got to the United States, I think, or in some early trials in other countries.
mm-hmm.
And, you know, I could provide some links to some videos on that. And this all was way before vaccines even came out, because ivermectin wasn't a hot, you know, topic
Yeah, it wasn't a commodity.
before the vaccines came out. You know, it wasn't controversial until the vaccines came out. So, you know, it kind of, you know, I'm not saying that it is, but I'm just saying it has the look and feel of every other, you know, strain of propaganda that's come out.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's tied to profits. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. It's supposed to be science, but it doesn't exactly follow the science. It's a little unnerving. You know, this one, I don't like to get into it. I think that, you know, I think Joe Rogan should sue CNN, and I think that they should have that lawsuit, you know, and force some private institutes to actually, you know, they'll compile that data. And
realize they screwed up and they need to
and I'm sure he'll win the lawsuit, because it was absolutely defamation. Because it's a clinical, you know, medication. It has been for a long time, so it's absolutely absurd.
Yeah, and they don't want to push.
He should sue them, not just for himself, but for society right now, so that, we can have these truths come out rather than sit here and, have little spitfire arguments with each other.
Hi, John.
Can I borrow you and your brother?
I'm actually in a meeting at the moment.
Yeah, but I mean, in a little bit, I need a couch or a desk move.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got it. Yep.
Give me just a second. Man. Baby woke up.
God. Fucking retarded.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no, you're fine. Sorry, I had to interrupt that.
The baby woke up, so she may get. But that's fine.
Yeah, no, I had a neighbor asking for help to move a couch.
Nice. Well, anyway, like I was saying, I think Joe Rogan should sue, and I think that would be good for society right now, just so they can, just have an honest, truthful approach to it. I mean, hopefully,
realize that
the law, and then that can kind of help settle the, the science and the whole issue.
Yeah, and people coming up with just, it's semi-factual, but it's factual, so I'm gonna say it. Like that kind of thing. It's like, well, this is one thing it's used for, but that's, I just don't see why, and they also, there was another news site.
Non-issue. It shouldn't even be an issue.
Yeah, there was another news site that said that there was gunshot victims waiting in line behind people who were overdosing on actual horse dewormer, because it has ivermectin in it. It was an actual news site, and then that hospital called and told them to print a retraction, because they said that is like completely far from true. We haven't even had a single person come into the hospital for an overdose of ivermectin. There's like 5 people in all of history that have ever.
I don't know that somebody wouldn't suffer some, some that indigestion or something from. I don't know what the application is for the, for the farm grade of it.
Me either.
But whatever that paste is, but that's not the clinical ivermectin. It isn't a paste. I don't think. I believe it's a pill. And
pill. They also have like they have like nasal sprays too, apparently.
I don't know if the nasal sprays are new, I think, and that's something that
Yep.
you know that the same companies that produce the vaccines are producing these nasal sprays.
Oh,
and,
I didn't know that. I just
and
heard
Biden is the one who signed off on the patent for them to produce however many shots of it here for the United States, or so many little puffer machines or whatever.
Yeah. So many.
So yeah, like I said, it's all ridiculous. It should be a non-issue. But I don't know. It's like they just need something to to clutter up the headlines so that we're distracted and not paying attention to real significant issues.
What's going on at all times.
Yeah. So yeah, the unity point. I think that's the most important thing, and that's why I try not to get into these polarizing issues because I have my opinions. I'm a person. Also, I'm not trying to say, that's something that I'd like everybody to know, that I absolutely am not trying to say that I'm smarter than anybody else or I'm better than anybody else or I think that I'm some, righteous figure that people need to, put in positions of worship or anything like that. It doesn't. I don't think that we should do that to politicians at all. They shouldn't be these, figures of idolism.
No, I kind of feel
somebody that's doing a damn job.
Politicians should kind of be like teachers, and they shouldn't let everyone know exactly what they are. Like when I was in high school, anyways. Nowadays, I see all the time teachers getting in trouble for not necessarily indoctrinating kids, but saying that telling them their opinion and that the child's opinion is wrong. It's not how you're supposed to do it. That's not how any teacher's supposed to teach a kid. You explain them what the different types of politics there are. You don't have to tell them which side you lean on and what's right and what's wrong in these politics. But any kid can see what evil politics are and what good politics are. You can kind of pick good pieces out of all of the forms of them. And if you could pretty much take all those good chunks out of all these different politics, Republicans, Democrats, and every single other intermediate.
That's what they are anyway. At least that's the way they paint the picture. Like every social system has the same elements, to the construct. It's just what, and which ratios, are they, are they utilized or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't even like social system labels. And, calling just the whole socialism or communism or capitalism or all of it, it's all in a system. It's going to be like anything else. There's going to be a full spectrum. All of these things are going to be utilized in some fashion or another.
They can
and to call the system any one thing, just because of the things that you don't like is, or to try to demonize it, it's kind of an elementary argument. So it loses the fun, in the conversation for me if people start talking about, socialism or anything like that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the system is. What matters is that the people in charge are abusing the power for the benefit of all people and not just for select groups. That's what matters. It doesn't matter what label you put on the society.
Yep. I wanted to talk about I seen in that also in that second video you did that you said that 1 acre of hemp can create 22 gallons of oil.
Yes.
That's incredible. Like that's
actually, the information is varies, and of course the output is going to vary depending on how tall the crops get, because those things can grow up to 20 feet, but they don't grow up to 20 feet every time. Depending on what's going on. Depending on if they get scorched by the heat or if they don't have quite enough water, and all these different variables, you can judge how the plants are going to grow. But just ideally, some have seen, upwards of a few hundred gallons of oil from 1 acre.
Okay.
But on all my figures, what I try to do is I try to run with the lowest figure. That way, if anybody does try to come back and call me on my numbers, I'll actually be able to, to up my ante a little bit on
Yep,
trying
you'll be
to be
closer to what would be average.
Yeah, so I'm trying to keep my numbers below the reality of what it would be, and then to try to keep myself, my expectations realistic also.
Yeah, keeps you in check though. That's the good thing.
Yeah, but just like what I said on there is that if we did the hemp revolution, it would end the tree industry for the most part. We'd probably still be making lumber from it until we've had those material sciences developed. But once we started 3D printing, like successfully, 3D printing structures or homes and businesses and things like that, nobody's going to care about lumber anymore. We're not going to sit here and run huge, timbers through through milling saws and all that other stuff. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
We could just 3D print something.
Have those big factories that stink so bad that make toilet paper and
all these horrible things. And then and then think about that. We won't be chopping down trees anymore. We can just leave the trees alone.
Yeah. The only time we'd ever have to chop trees down is if we needed more space. But if you're building yourself a utopia in a fashion that you're talking, you could just build upward. You'd have have skyscrapers in small towns.
Honestly, it would be downward. And uranium cities like that. I mean, honestly, I would see that in 100 years from now, you'd see different areas develop in different fashions, and some of it would be where the majority of the development went underground, and then you would only see like what I'd call like periscope buildings, which would be like mid-rise or high-rise buildings that kind of come up out of the ground, but they don't really connect to infrastructure on the surface. Everything is underground. The traveling and everything, railways or whatever would all be underground.
Oh yeah.
But that's just kind of looking forward into the future. But we have to enable that, those possibilities for those future generations. It's some generation will eventually if we don't do it. But right now we're like at a breaking point, and there's a lot of people who absolutely think that we need to burn it all down, start over, which is the most self centered thing somebody can say. They're like, how do you think we can burn down all of humanity's progress just to appease your vengeance or your desires? Because we're not even talking about us. We're talking about billions of people in the future. We're not talking about our children right now or just our children's children, but we're talking about our great grandchildren and great grandchildren, many generations to come. And and those great grandchildren, it's not like they're that far away. They're going to happen within the next 100 years or so. They're not that far away. So we can't sit here and be selfish about this and act like whatever our petty grievances are more substantial than a remarkable and limitless future for billions of more souls who haven't even been born yet, to say the least.
Some people would argue, I mean, I know that this the hemp would pretty much take care of all of our climate problems, pretty much. For the most part, it would help our air, help our earth, help benefit
climate,
like,
get rid of the plastics.
Climate.
It would repair the soil and filter the water, because the water has a lot of toxins in it and stuff like that.
Some people have recently come out, and I know they're just political figures, of course, but they say that we're almost too far gone to the point of where we couldn't come back from this. I don't know if I believe that, but who am I to say? I'm not anywhere in the world of knowing that.
In the scope of all of humanity, there is no too far gone until it's over.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
That's it. And anybody who preaches any other way is, is a deterrent to our success as a species. And they need to step out of the way. If they want to start their own little group of nihilists that say, hey, we're going to die, that's fine. They can do that.
Man.
They have every right to do that. But they don't have the right to get in the way of the rest of us who are determined to succeed.
Yeah. That's how I feel. I don't understand why some people do feel that they think that your idea is stupid. Not necessarily your idea, but whatever idea it might be. They think that your idea is stupid no matter what. I don't care your argument. You could have as many facts and you could have, half a dozen things that you've already done that are great, but they're still going to use this one little thing to try to pick your argument apart. And they may not, they probably don't even have a solid argument. They just choose to use anecdotal bullshit to try to fling at you.
That's why I love, I like how that sounds. That's why I appreciate myself in this position, because that's going to happen to me, and it's going to happen a lot, and I just don't care. These people aren't going to sway me, because of my past, or that I'm not some picture perfect character. And that's exactly why I'm saying up front that I'm not trying to sell myself as, some, idea of perfection, of a perfect human, or the smarter than anyone else, or more intelligent, or anything like that. Doesn't have anything to do with anything like that. I'm a normal person. I would like to be, viewed and,
heard
and treated as a normal person, just like everyone else. And I think that that's something that needs to happen. We need to, stop putting, and it's the point that we're at in society right now. If society is so far degraded that, a politician comes out and just does their job, like Stacey Abrams. I'm not knocking her down. She's a political hero. But honestly, she rallied people together. She got them to vote. She was doing her job. That's what, essentially, what politicians' jobs are. But just doing it effectively and for a good cause, she's an absolute hero. And I'm not trying to denounce, that. I'm just saying that we've come to a point that our society is degraded so far that it really doesn't take much to be the greatest person in the room anymore, because everybody just kind of cops out or just doesn't care. I don't know what the problem is. I mean, I do, but we have to work to get to that, and that's another part of this movement. So yeah, people are going to attack me and say, oh, well, what about this? And I'll be like, listen, I've given you a set of proposals that is, feasibly going to fast forward us to a true space age and clean the environment and, some justice and policing policy reforms that are going to reshape America in a way that the citizens feel valued as a citizen, before they even wake up or walk out the door. It's going to change the dynamics of our country so much. Most people won't even be able to fathom the reality that we'll be living in if we accomplish these things, because people aren't going to walk out of their door feeling stressed or worried and be like, damn, I got to get out here and get it. I got to make it. They know that they're going to make it, and it won't, no matter what, and it won't matter. And that doesn't mean that people are not going to try. People are still going to try. They throw that argument out there. If you give them UBI, that everybody's just going to be lazy and nobody's going to do nothing. That's absolutely absurd.
I don't understand that argument. So what you're saying, like with that, what you're saying is you really believe that if you gave somebody the incentive, not only, honestly, the way I look at it is you probably have a universal basic income of people who are already working, like say you work, you work 24 or 25 hours a week. You get this set amount, $800 a month or whatever the heck it is extra, because of the fact that you do work. So some sort of incentive, that's always their argument, is some sort of incentive to be able to make it to the point of where they get it, but they don't get the laziness, and they don't, I don't understand why people think other people are everybody's lazy.
Yeah, they're tying in that ideology, the whole tough love ideology, and it's a way that we've been conditioned as a society. You know what? And it has a lot to do with that. I forget what it was. Yes, it was this controversy in the military with the males being, trying to be dominant over the female counterparts in the military. Mm-hmm. And when I responded to somebody, I was like, they train them to be that way. They train them this alpha male model in the in the training camps, and they use the wolf as the example of the wolf social structure or the hierarchy where there's an alpha male, and that's absolutely false. That information came from studying wolves in captivity, and what they learned was that the wolves actually adopted the social constructs of the humans that were around them. And since they were in cages, there's usually, somebody who watches, there's usually a supervisor, you know what I mean? So they saw that social construct. They adopted that through watching humans. But when they observe the wolves in the wild, they don't act like that. They're just a family, and they just all take care of each other, and that's all they do. And that's the reality of nature. And that's what, humans need to get back to. This hierarchy, somebody's an alpha, somebody's a beta, somebody's better.
Yeah.
We need to get rid of that. We need to remember that it doesn't matter who is what, really. We are all in this together. And at some point, everybody's going to have to pick up an oar and row the boat so that we can get where we're going.
More people, the way I look at it, more people need to have that, the superhero mentality, basically. Like, Spider-Man, for example. With great power comes great responsibility. No matter what, as you get older, you gain more power, whether it's, social power, political power, whatever you're doing in your life. Me, I work at an Apple store, so I meet a lot of people, and a lot of people think that I'm a really nice guy. That's just because I'm a nice guy when I'm in the public. I'm a nice guy.
Yeah,
home
come
too.
on, Sam.
I know I'm a nice guy when I'm at home too, but I can be a jerk, and I can be a jerk in the public, and I can be a jerk here. I'm not special. But in those moments where you think you can be a jerk, think you're going to be a jerk, sometimes you have to pull that superhero mentality out and realize I'm bigger than this. I do not need to be a jerk right now. You have to catch yourself before you're doing it. Otherwise, you do it, and then you have to apologize. Or some people are jerks, and they don't think they have to apologize.
Even more so, you'll be in that position. You'll get the urge, or you'll pull that string back, and not that you don't want to be a jerk, or that you can't be a jerk. In some instances, that you need to be a jerk, and you have to devise a way to finesse being that jerk, and still having a constructive conversation with people. And I'm finding that is the mode of conversation right now, because people come in with all their weaponry just, on display into a conversation. And it's like you have to combat all that before you even start having the conversation. So it's a battle before it even started.
Mm-hmm. One of the things I notice a lot lately, anyways, is everybody's kind of getting really deep into labeling people. Everybody, like everybody in the public eye, on newscasters, or everybody, whether it's them or even celebrities and stuff, they'll get on social media and everybody's labeling people, calling other people white supremacist or racist, or you're anti-trans or anti-gay or anything over a statement. Maybe you might have said something that was controversial to some people, but to you it's just a thought, it's an idea, it's
it's easy to take a person and put them in a box, and it's also very easy to catch somebody at their worst moment, and judge them as harshly as you want, and judge their entire character as harshly as you want to. But you don't know if that person saved somebody's life the day before. You don't really know who that person is. You might have caught them at a bad moment. You might have caught them where they were having a slip up that, that they wouldn't even be proud of, but they weren't aware they were having. Like they were just kind of misled on something for a minute, or they weren't clearly digesting the idea, and they kind of, went on a little of a tangent with it. And that's fine. I try to tell everybody to, feel as free as you want to express yourself in any way that you need, and then and let's talk about it. Let's work through it. Let's not just get in an uproar and shut it down and block everybody out, and we all create our own little bubble realities. And now we're living in a world with over a billion bubble realities, over a billion different false realities on the planet right now. It has to do with miseducation and people, deriving self-worth, from false values like money and position, public or political position and things like that. And that's exactly what we were talking about a minute ago, how people keep putting, keep placing the politician on a pedestal as if they're, Jesus or something. We need to stop doing that. Quit putting the worth on that, because you're devaluing the self-worth of anybody who isn't that. And because you made it to that position doesn't mean that you're a good person. Look around us and look what we see right now. How many people in all these positions, and it doesn't matter if you're on the left or the right. If you're on the left, you hate everybody on the right. If you're on the right, you hate everybody on the left. But what they all made those positions, they're all up there.
All the way.
Yeah. So, it's just something that it's just one of these small fundamental changes that's going to dramatically change the way that we view our society. And I think we said that in the first podcast we did, that the society really isn't going to change. It's going to be the way that we view the society and the way that we behave in the society that's going to change.
Yeah. The way I look at it, all these different things that are going on right now, a lot of people just need to realize that the only way that you can get the right information is by hearing the right information, and the only way that you can get past wrong information is by hearing the right information. There's wrong info out there, but I don't understand why like YouTube and Facebook and everything, they'll allow Al-Qaeda, any of that. It's like Al-Qaeda can, Donald Trump no.
I mean, it's a toughie subject, but he did, or is an alleged accessory to an insurrection, and the supposedly greatest stronghold of democracy on the planet. So that's that has some global implications. If you want to pull something like that off in America and you get away with it, and we're supposedly the strongest place in the world, how do you think that makes every person on the planet feel, no matter where they're at? They're like, if they did it,
I totally agree. I think that whole thing was a big mess that shouldn't have happened, and there was apparently the majority of the people that ended up being there were all people from that 4chan or 8chan or whatever that were listening to that QAnon bullshit.
I'll tell you what, they weren't successful that day for many reasons, but one of the greatest reasons that they weren't successful that day is that their actions, let me restate this. Yes. Their actions and their leadership do not equivalate to their core values.
Yeah.
So their core values, the people that they preach to be, like the rest of the Trumpers that were home that day watching that happen, saying like, these aren't Trumpers, these are Antifa. That's what I'm saying. They weren't adhering to their core values when they were pulling that off.
Yeah.
And how that plays out is that you watch them slowly approach the Capitol. You watch them slowly ease into all of it,
Yeah.
And then you ease into all of the destruction, and they eased up to the doors, and and then started kicking them in and eased through the hallways. If they had felt truly justified in what they were doing, and it was on par with their core values, they would have assaulted that Capitol, like Spartans. You know what I mean? They would have ran. They wouldn't even have wasted time screaming. They would have been, rushing, spearheading, pushing through
Yep.
the windows,
That's
making
the
it happen.
thing.
But they didn't
I
do
don't
that.
think they had a
Their hearts
solid
weren't in it.
plan going in. I don't think they actually planned on making it in, because it didn't
I
seem
don't know
like
what-
they did.
I mean, from the things that I've heard personally, is that the plan was for them to go in there and secure hostages. And if they had secured hostages, you know, and they were supposed to be executing people. So I don't want to go into that, but they were supposed to secure hostages there. And when they had secured hostages, they were going to take up arms. And then there was going to be, because these guys are all over the country, and then there was going to be groups that would raid every state capital, and they were going to try to take over the country.
Yeah.
So now I don't know how much of
Ism or-
that is just hearsay, or how many were like, yeah, we're going to do this, and we're going to, and how many different groups could have formulated their own ideas of what the plan
Yeah.
would or could be, and which one I heard, or how prevalent, or how how real of a threat that was.
Yeah.
But
I
it's
think
out there, and that's what they want to do, so
that whole situation I kind of take as with a grain of salt, like everybody's different interpretations, because there's like 3 or 4 different ideas out there as to what exactly happened. And I think all of it's a little bit of hearsay and a combination of different stories, because it's like some people, like some newscasters will say that there were people there were security guards once they made it through the gates. There were security guards opening different doors for them. So, like, on that note, like, I don't understand why one publication would say that there was people doing that, but then also on a different publication they'd completely hide the fact that there actually was a couple of different guards there that were there was actually a couple different guards there that probably were just with that group, or people that were pretending to be guards. Who knows?
It's very interesting. I think if the right wingers used the same discretion that they used for the Kyle Rittenhouse case, they used for how Capitol rioters should have been dealt with, they would say that the justification would have been that the rioters should have been shot and killed, because they posed a serious, deadly threat. But I know they wouldn't like to hear that.
No, I wouldn't like to see all those people get shot either. And
I'm not saying that I would have. I'm just talking about people's logic and the way that they justify things.
No, I know.
That's
I'm
where
just
I
saying
think we're
that
lost as a
wouldn't
country.
Wouldn't
Like
have been my
how
stance.
people, and I pardon me, I'm not trying to step over you there. I was just saying that it's just such an oxymoron of what our country has become. Okay, just like the people on the left want the vaccine mandates, but they want to fight the abortion laws. The people on the right, they want the abortion laws, but they want to fight the vaccine mandates. People on the right are mad. People on the right are mad because Kaepernick kneels for a national symbol.
Yeah.
But then they go out and they purchase, blue striped flags and all this, and those are altered national symbol.
Yeah.
So he kneels for a national symbol, but they will alter a national symbol, and somehow that's okay. I just don't understand. Everything is so such an oxymoron. It just doesn't make sense. That's why I'm not condemning these people for whatever mind state that they're all in, but it's absolutely a state of confusion. And we need to sort this stuff out, and we need to come back together as a people, and we need to forget all these crazy things. When we're talking about the labels, you're like, everybody's labeling everybody, because what is a label? A label is the ultimate tool of division.
Yeah.
As long as we can label each other something, I can demonize you. I can make you into something bad. I can increase my self-worth, also while, turning you into a monster or a bad guy just by using a label. Depending on who's around as to how they're going to accept that. But it just shouldn't be. We should be equals. And if we're all fighting for equality, then we're going to have to put these labels away.
Yeah, I agree. One of the main things that was making me think about labels, or well, the fact that people are being labeled and people are labeling, is the fact that in that Rittenhouse case, once it was over, he's now talking about different people he's going to probably go sue for defaming him, because his lawyers apparently were keeping him in jail even though they'd already made bail for him. Do you hear about that?
No, I don't really follow it.
I haven't really been following it either. It was an article I read the other day, and then I seen it on I think it was Tim Pool's podcast. I seen him talking about the Rittenhouse case, and Joe Biden, because Rittenhouse, he won his case. His case. He's, they dropped, I think it was pretty much all charges, because he was defending he was actually there to defend some building, or I think it was like an auto parts store, or like a auto mechanic store or something like that. But he was there to defend, is what his statement was anyways. And I was going to say, Joe Biden got on he was on the news, and he called Kyle Rittenhouse a white supremacist.
White supremacist.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Called him a white supremacist, and everybody's like, how is he, what makes him a white supremacist for shooting two white people at a that weren't even at a Black Lives Matter protest? They were rioting near the Black Lives Matter protest.
I feel a little out of step as of late, because I've been engaged with some people on social media kind of arguing the case, but I'm arguing that in a personal capacity and not in a capacity. As far as what Joe Biden said there, you can't say things like that in that position. You can't say things like that at all. It doesn't even matter if it were absolutely true. It's just not your position to bring that into focus. He should have said something that was more, de-escalating.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter. He's not there to, the president isn't there to be the know all be all, say all, end all.
That's how I feel.
That's why we have courts. That's why we have other people.
You don't have to have such a staunch opinion on everything, sir. That's how I feel about that. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Or if he is, going to have an opinion, then they need to frame it in a personal respect rather than in a personal capacity rather than in an official capacity. And if they have the White House or any of that other, official, decor in the background, then that's unofficial capacity. So that's not proper.
LeBron James also made some sort of comment saying that that Rittenhouse was a pretend blubbering bitch because he was fake crying or whatever when he was giving his testimony. Some shit like that. I thought it was just quite hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know. From a psychological aspect, if I was being completely honest, it's been my experience in positions like that, when somebody's crying like that they're lying. Yeah,
usually. That's how I feel. I don't have any.
That's just been my experience. I'm not saying that has anything to do with the Rittenhouse. He was a young kid. He was on stand, for murder or whatever. Of course, he's scared. I believe grown men could be in that position, and be, become physically ill, just from that amount of stress. So I'm not putting it past them, but I was just saying that in my experience, when people. And, and that's, I kind of put that on the judge too, because he, that wasn't any less influential to the jury than when the prosecutor, waved the gun around the room. Strike fear everybody. When he allowed, with his
finger inside the trigger guard.
Yeah.
I know there's no clip, but
when the judge allowed that, whenever Kyle began crying at any time, the judge should have called a recess. And Kyle should have been, asked to maintain his composure on stand, or been deemed unfit to provide testimony. And then he should have had, a stand-in to provide testimony for him, or whatever professionals,
Yeah, if
they
you're
could do
incapable of
something
speaking, you
like
shouldn't be
that.
sitting. Bro.
Yeah, absolutely. So that whole trial was a mess. It was an absolute mess, and and it only reminded me of the impeachment trial and everything else. It's like our entire
Yeah,
country has become a charade, has become a theater of charades. It's ridiculous. This is our
yeah,
country now. This is who we are. We
yep,
are absolutely a laughing stock to the globe,
yep.
and
Fear
that's
mongering,
not
and then
really our. That's not has nothing to do with our biggest problems. But I think it's a
yeah,
pride point that we should, we should take that to heart and do some serious reflecting individually, and reassess the way that we uh, address each other as fellow countrymen. And it
yeah,
doesn't matter what side we're on. We have to have a mutual respect here. And if we don't have that mutual respect, then democracy is already broken.
yeah. I agree too. It's you can't have you can't be divisive while also trying to bring the country together.
Yeah, that's
It's
why I
really
don't really
hard.
talk about some of these topics, or I really but at the same time I do want to express myself because I want people to see that I am
Yeah,
a human, I'm a person, and all that. I'm not trying to push any fraudulent characteristics or anything like that. And I'll tell you, I do have my flaws, and I'm not here once again to stand on a pedestal and say I'm flawless. I just brought a game plan that I think is feasible and can not only save lives but improve lives, and the quality of life for every American. And
yeah,
I
which is
think
all.
that anybody that's in leadership and that they're not, that's not their primary focus, and if there's anything that outweighs that agenda, then they probably should not be in a position of leadership, because we're trying to progress here. We're not
Yeah,
trying to stagnate. We're not trying to regress. We're trying to move forward. We're trying to make things better. Every year, things should get a little better. But look at the minimum wage. And I'm not trying to use that as some wholly defining point for everything, but just look at it. It didn't change a penny for, over a decade. If we
yeah,
are paying politicians the amount of money that we're paying them to represent us, then that number should increase every year, no matter what. Inflation
yeah,
increases, everything else increases. But if that doesn't increase, then that should be, the litmus test that things are not right. We're not
yeah.
being
Like
represented the way that we should be represented.
yeah, like Idaho's minimum wage. It's been 7.25 since 2008. Since the stock market crash in 2008, it's been 7.25 is the minimum wage in Idaho. It's like that's pitiful. Don't get me wrong. I make more money than that, but it's like
So
I'm one of the fortunate few.
yeah, it doesn't make sense. You know, just like I said, the plan is so easy. We have 670 million acres of degraded soil. The crops don't grow well
Mm,
in. They have to use, heavy commercial fertilizers to make that stuff grow. If it's even growing anymore, there are actually a lot of farmers who are just abandoning their farms altogether right now. They're abandoning their farms and they don't plan to go back. And there are a lot of them that see,
yeah,
that same light at the end of the tunnel, and they're telling everybody right now. They're saying, "Hey, if we do leave, we ain't coming back." So
yeah,
I don't take that as a horrible threat, like the food supply is going to shut down if these farmers won't go back to their farms. But I would
no,
appreciate that we could provide them a way to not leave their livelihoods, to not abandon their families' legacies. Once again, like I say in the in the video, and I don't think that people can really digest the full the full scope of that when I'm talking about it. Because when I say that we can help people, preserve their families' legacies and their inheritance. Um, I don't know. It almost seems like America is a cultural like wash. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's devoiding culture or something. Excuse me, I'm getting a little sidetracked here.
I get you. My brain's filled with a lot of things at the moment.
Yeah,
What questions?
I forget where I was going with that altogether at this point. But anyway, there's some really deep portions of this movement that are going to address the real issues in our country, which is the mental health crisis. And I believe that that's our number one problem, and that the majority of the problems that we have from there are, just symptoms. So
Yeah.
everybody's pushing the gun war right now, and I feel like the gun war is going to be a repeat of the drug war. What we're going to do is, demonize, criminalize, uh, put people in jail,
Yeah.
and it's not going to solve the problem. Even like I said before, if we melt every gun in the world tomorrow and we keep treating each other like shit, it's only going to be a matter of time before one of these kids, either drives an SUV through a school or shows up with some type of, explosive device or something like that. People will find a way to hurt each other if that's what they want to do. The guns, making the guns the target, totally sidetracks. I mean, making the guns the target is almost guaranteeing failure for this, for resolving this matter, because the guns are not the problem.
All they're doing is targeting the population's guns. They're of course, police would still have guns, and the government officials would still have guns, and the military would still have guns, but the public wouldn't have guns anymore. And then you would have what you see in Australia right now, and as of the past, very recently, they're locked in their houses, and people, helicopters flying over
camps over there. They have COVID camps.
Yeah, telling them, get in your house. That before you know it, if we didn't have guns, that's the only thing that's keeping America from being that same type of police state.
From being dragged away to camps for our safety.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't confirm or deny that. So
I'm saying
something
guns,
that we need to keep in mind.
The population, us, me as an individual, and every other individual in my neighborhood, people like us are the people that are preventing that from happening. Like, otherwise America would be, we wouldn't, I'm not saying we would be locked away in internment camps, but I'm sure there'd be a helicopter over my house telling me to quarantine in my house. Not necessarily right this second, but at some point in the last 2 years, I would have been told to stay in my house and quarantine by a helicopter.
Oh, absolutely. I'm in, I'm in Texas. I'm actually in a deep red county in Texas, and I'm not mad about that completely. I don't think that Trumpers are the right wing. I don't even want to call them Trumpers anymore, because that really puts all right wing people into a group that they're not in. But let's just say conservatives. They're not bad people. And their intentions are good. Just like the people on the left, they're not bad people. And their intentions are good also. It's just at what point, do those good intentions, start paving the road to hell? So I saw a left-wing person on Twitter earlier today who, insinuated that Biden should try to pull a goddamn insurrection like Trump did. He said he should try to do it, and he should try to do it soon, to guarantee that he still had the military on his side. And I was like, that's not what I wanted to wake up and see today. Even though it was one person, it's still, you got to know that if one person says it, then there's a good chance anywhere from 1,000 to 1,000,000 other people are thinking the same thing. So it's absolutely the wrong direction. And just like all these other little issues that are, extremely polarizing, but they're to the same capacity, like once again, the abortion rights and the vaccine mandates. Those are on equal terms as far as civil liberties go. But people want to act like they're on different ends of the scope for both issues. It's really strange.
Yeah. I agree. it's a really odd time that we live in, I gotta say. I never thought I'd see it be the way that it is in my
Yeah, I didn't
lifetime.
think we would regress like this. I thought we would, continue to progress, forward at
Yeah.
some rate, but not regress backwards like this.
Yeah, it's socially we're almost back in, like 40, 50 years ago in a certain mentalities anyways. It's like amazing.
I mean, people want to make it great again. It really wasn't that great, and I don't think that we should measure the greatness of our country off of, what life is like for the most successful people. As a matter of fact, I think the best, way to gauge society would be the level of success of, the poorest people in the society.
Yeah.
Because even if it's the poorest people were still, well off and, without need, that would be a true testament.
My main argument for that is the fact that we are 18th in the world for graduating, people, graduating high school, 18th in the world. But we're number one in incarceration. Number one. And we have we have a small population in comparison to some other countries.
I mean, that's almost a police state to definition. So that's absolutely absurd. And that's the exact opposite of what America should be, right?
Yep. We should be up in the numbers of graduation and lower in the numbers of people getting arrested.
It's the division and the demonization of each other that, that allows that. Because it's not that, the other countries don't lock up as many people because, there aren't as many bad people in those other countries.
No.
It's because we're corrupted and the system is corrupted. And
have different regulations and things.
We have weaponized our police force against our own citizens by creating quotas, by allowing quotas to occur. As soon as it became about the numbers, it was not about public service.
Well, they're a business.
Money. That's exactly that. It became a business when it became about money and numbers, and it wasn't about, serving the public. As soon as serving the public fell off the table, that was it. They were no longer police.
I almost think
they're a legalized armed militia.
Yeah, and I almost think that's one of the largest downfalls in America is probably the fact that we literally turn everything into a business. The pharmaceutical company, it's a business. You have to keep advertising. You have to keep up the sales. Otherwise, you aren't going to get the funding,
It really isn't. It really isn't. You know what? It is. That is a good business model. Like clickbait is a good business model for headlines because we become desensitized to it, and then we don't even care about the headlines anymore.
Yep.
When I look at a headline now, no matter what it says, I divide, the whatever hype, I just divide it by like 100. Like it'll be 1% of whatever that headline is telling me it is. And at that point, I don't even want to look at it. So once we become desensitized to it, and it's the same way with this other topic we're talking about here. Forgive me, I keep getting sidetracked.
Business, everything being turned into a business.
Turning everything into a business. But it's bad because it's just like that, building the self-worth off of monetary gain or a political position or public position. It's those are false points of value. That doesn't make you who you are. So as long as we're building society like that, it's going to continue to be a mess. We're going to have a serious mental health crisis. We're going to have a significant suicide and depression rate. It's going to continue to happen because we are all built off of self-worth is built off of false points of value, and I apologize. I keep getting sidetracked here.
You're fine. Another one of the things that I kind of missed, or I lost over anyways, when we were talking about them making everything into a business, everything's business formatted. Even homelessness, that's a business That, you know, if and in California especially, the numbers keep rising, and the people down there that are trying to help with it, of course, they're helping homeless people, so they're happy with that. They're helping different homeless people, but you're not changing the numbers. You're not fixing nothing. As long as the numbers keep growing, you're just having a bigger problem come. But all these people that are helping with the homelessness, they're still getting money. They're still getting paid. A lot of them getting paid, you know, $150,000, $200,000 a year in California, anyways. From whatever, I can't remember what study it was, but
Sure.
I can find it. It's like I don't see why, as long as, you know, once there's no homeless people, then those people are out of a job.
Well, that'd be a great thing. But
Yeah.
but you're right. But they're not really combating the problem as more as turning it into a position of a livelihood.
Yep, and monetary gain.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just the way that our whole society is spun right now. It's all backwards. It's all geared in this upstream, tough love front, and it just doesn't have to be that way. The whole material scarcity ploy. There's not enough to go around. Oh, I don't want people in my country. That we have people starving here. But as soon as this topic is off the table, you're not going to give a shit about these people that are starving here again.
Yeah.
You move on to the next thing that floats your ego. People don't really care until they're really faced with it. So it's just all this, just the division and the labels and everything. We just got to stop. We just have to stop. We have to find a stopping point. And I'm going to try to do something. I don't think anything I'm doing right now is having any significant sway. But I believe if everybody in America heard this message, tomorrow or understood it, then it would become, a significant moving force. And so I just kind of keep moving on that.
Yeah, that's all you can do is just keep.
Yeah. I was hoping to talk about more of the video for the predictive behavior and breaking program.
Mm-hmm.
So you could see I kept using the charts, which just had that oscillation of a graph. It kept going up and down, It'd be like a economic boom.
Yep.
A period of stability and a recession and a depression and all that, and then it just cycles over and over again. So what's really awesome is when I'm making these videos, everything that I'm doing, I don't have to go far, because this stuff is already, it's already real. It's already something that's there. So those charts, they were already on the internet. I just had to find them and I alter them a little bit or whatever.
Yeah, and just show the people what's actually out there and what's actually happening.
Yeah, so it's actually real easy, and that's I don't know. I keep thinking that that'll be the thing that kind of gets people to wake up and they'll be like, wait a minute, this is actually really a really simple topic and something that we're just kind of overlooking, and whoever's calling that both sides call both sides sheep at this point.
Yeah.
But it's sheep on the on a different side of a fence, pointing at each other. I'd call them the kettle black. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is outrageous.
So anyway, the divide and conquer, the labels, all of it, and I keep trying to be less divisive myself, and it's hard. I get it, but it's something that we might have to just learn to tolerate from each other for a little while until we can condition ourselves out of it. That's another reason why I don't filter myself too much. I'm kind of approaching this raw, and I know any PR person would probably just call it a nightmare, and that's fine. I'm not taking a traditional approach to this. This is a completely non-traditional approach, and it's because we need to break that program that we keep following. And anybody that right now still believes that they're going to vote Republican or Democrat, in 2024, and things are going to change. I just, have to be kind of sad about that.
I think, and one of the things that frustrates me the most is I think one of the only things that could ever cure it would cure most of our problems in our country is just forgiveness. Forgive for you. And the thing that people forget is the meaning of forgiveness anyways. Forgiveness doesn't just have to be someone did something wrong to you, so you forgive them because they apologized. That's not how it has to work. Forgiveness is just a matter of, even like say I'm right wing and I don't like somebody because of one of their pieces of ideology from the left. I have to forgive them for their faults that I look at, and they have to forgive me for their faults that they look at on me. If there's no forgiveness, then how can you be friends? How can you be friends with people who are of a different political stance, that are of a different gender? It's like some people are, some men probably don't socialize very well with women. All it takes is, like I said, forgiveness.
Those social stigmas, man, it's all a part of the dogma and the false hierarchy and all this other stuff. I mean, all these problems we've created ourselves. So once we start moving in this direction, like I'm talking about, it's a completely other direction. But once we start moving in that direction, we're not going against the grain. Everything just starts falling into place like it should.
Yep. Like sandpaper, we got to get some of that grit off of there before it gets, before it's finer sandpaper.
This is better than that. This is right now we're swimming upstream, and all we have to do is change our mind and turn around, and we'll be floating downstream rather than swimming upstream. We'll move much faster, much quicker, much easier, a lot less stress.
We got to be like a fish and go to the ocean.
We just go downstream. It's like the old man says. He says you got to learn to be like water and flow. So
very malleable.
So yeah, I put the all the extra stuff, the fast forward to a space age, the hemp revolution, cleaning the environment, the air, the soil, also to create higher quality produce and things like that. It's going to solve all those problems. All that was just a bonus, just to try to get people to say, hey, if we were able to just let go of all these other stupid things, look at what we could accomplish.
Yeah.
And we absolutely could.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can get some eyes on that and get, more people to just bury the axe.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have opportunity, and we're gonna lose the opportunity over a grudge.
Yeah.
I'll get, for some people, that grudge is much more significant and much more what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, like real.
Something that's
something
more
that it's actually real. It's something that they're suffering with, and that there was a true atrocity that occurred to them or their family. And I'm not trying to say that we just need to forget everything, but I am saying that we're at a very critical point in time and in our country and in history, and we're at a crossroads, and we have to make a decision, and we have to make a turn.
Yeah, soon.
And if we don't make the right turn, we're going to reset in a bad way instead of in a good way. Mm-hmm. So we're either going to repeat that cycle, or we're going to make that, that revolutionary step, up.
Yeah.
So we have all of the necessary, elements, all the tools, all the material. We have everything we need to accomplish that right now. The only thing that's stopping us is thought, is the way that people view it, and the grudges that they're holding about other matters. That's the only thing stopping us from fast forwarding to a true space age. So how would you like to see a line of those crawling 3D printing bots close to a shoreline somewhere, printing out a huge base for a floating city.
Yeah,
And then and then they push that base out into the bay and the printers just keep building up the structure until we're ready to go in there and start outfilling it with electrical wiring and whatever mechanical components and whatnot. But either way, I mean, how would you like to see that happening? Because we could have that happening, absolutely in less than 5 years.
Yeah.
From today.
That's the thing that gets me, is that people act like change is so far away, but a lot of change that we can, have that would affect our entire country. All it is one moment. That it only takes a moment, and that's just making a decision. That's really all it is. Figuring out what to do, making the plan,
figuring which way to turn.
Yep.
And depending on where you're trying to get, that turn could take you all the way around the mountain, or it could take you straight through the mountain.
Yeah. I don't want to see a civil war be the end to what we call America. I really don't want to see that. I'd rather see, the space age.
Yeah. A civil war today isn't going to be pretty. It's going to be a high-tech civil war, and that's going to be, it would be gruesome at any rate. But I imagine that, it doesn't matter. The catastrophic amount of loss of life for the United States would undoubtedly put us in a position, to be overrun by another country. And listen, if Russia is going to take Ukraine because they can, you don't think that they wouldn't do the same thing anywhere else if they thought they could get away with it. And if China and Russia, team up and decide that they're going to do something after America has a civil war, there's not really anybody in the world that's going to tell them different. So at that point, they would pretty much be falling like dominoes, or we could expect that. Even if they all did rally together, China and Russia would probably still, have them bow out pretty quick without the United States as a, strong counterpart in that. So that's something we need to think of. Everybody thinks, oh, we're just going to have a civil war and then we'll have the country the way we want it and everything else will be fine. They're not even thinking about the rest of the globe out there. All the predators.
Most people don't think about that. The fact that we
drooling, waiting for America to start killing each other so they can, take advantage of that.
I mean, they're already they're already laughing at the fact that we are tearing each other apart over words on the internet.
It's ridiculous. That's how weak we are.
Yeah.
That's how out on our sleeve our emotions are. We can't even have conversations with each other so much that, there's a stronger bond with people in other parts of the world than we have with people that live next door to us. It's not good.
Well, I think I have asked you about every question I have, Michael.
Well, that's cool, brother. I appreciate you having me on again. It
was a good conversation.
Yeah, I'm working on some more posts right now. I was trying to get to a point where I could try to push one out every week, but it's a lot of work for me because it's just I'm alone with 2 kids and running a business at the same time. It's a little tough to one-man army a revolution while you got 2 ankle buckets and a business, but no big deal.
Yep.
We'll get it done.
All right, brother. Well, I'll see you next time, you're on here, and I'll probably talk to you a few times before then.
I appreciate it. Thanks again.
Yes, sir. Till next time.
Yes, sir.